Okay, well, welcome to the making of my AS Media project called Playful. I'm Gil Tardy, director and pretty much everything else, and this is a close friend of mine.
Bart Turner, actor, kind of.
Yeah, kind of helps with
Yeah, main
ideas and
character.
everything. Yeah.
Do a lot of stuff.
Yeah, so started out, got given a task back in, I think in October, something like that. Went to a trip to the BFI in London, British Film Institution. Met some cool people there, and basically telling us how to do our openings for a film, which is the project. And basically, I got the idea as I went back from the BFI. I thought, well, if you think thriller, you're gonna think killer and detective, right? That's the first thing you think. And so I kind of built everything from there, from detectives, basically. If you have a detective, you need a killer, and I actually wanted something interesting, like some sort of suspense in the actual opening.
Yeah, I don't remember us discussing the premise so much, but you were talking about a few films that you were looking at for inspiration.
Yeah.
Ghost in the Shell, in particular.
Yeah. Actually, well, the actual visual style is definitely kind of the film noir 20s, because I built everything around the conventions of the detectives. Detective's gonna go for the killer. You think the detective's a guy. It's typically all black and white. It's kind of suspenseful, and
you got some colour in there, kind of.
Yeah. The visual style, even though it's kind of film noir, it reminds me, since it's modernized, it's more like Sin City, as in it's black and white, very bleached.
In Schindler's List, the little girl in the red dress.
Yeah, but
Shows
and it
significance.
shows a bit of color within the bleached black and white, and so visually a Sin City. I haven't exactly pulled the inspiration for Sin City. I just thought of the typical film noir. The actual scene itself is mainly pulled from an anime film called Ghost in the Shell 2: Innocence, where not the same thing happens in the actual scene, but the atmosphere is what I wanted to recreate. Where it's slightly paranoid, it's very eerie, very echoey sounds, and even though that scene in the actual film all happens in slow motion, I didn't do that. I wanted
kind of that aspect as kind of agoraphobic loneliness, but within a confined space.
Whoa.
Well, no, I'm just thinking about the echoey sounds.
It's all kind of like, it's all very.
Everything's
it's
kind of
it's very eerie, especially with the contrast. Like right before it, you have the all very sharp sounds of the car engine and stuff, and suddenly it goes all it goes all weird. Also, the actual killer profile, that I've kind of pulled the idea that the killer leaves something on his victims, actually kind of from a game called Heavy Rain.
Well, I mean,
except not, he doesn't give it. He doesn't put it. Except in Heavy Rain, in Heavy Rain, the killer leaves an origami.
But a calling card like that, it's not so prevalent in real serial killers, but you get it a lot in kind of serial killer fiction. It's very much a staple of the genre. So
yeah. Now the actual serial killers, kind of, the idea I have of him, of how he acts, is closer to, again, another anime, Death Note. Because the killer dares to go for the detective. It kind of throws out the convention that the detective is going to try and catch the killer first. It's actually the killer that found the detective first. And again, it's probably all to do with a psychology of the killer that would probably be developed later in the movie if it did exist. That
he's playing with the detective.
He's playing with the detective,
That's
hence the title. And in the actual anime Death Note, it's about those two very brilliant young men who, actually, they always end up being very close to each other, and it's whoever sees the other faces first will die. It's very complicated why, but it's essentially, and even when they do eventually except in that, when they do eventually meet each other, they know of who each other is, but constantly trick each other. So I think that what the premise would be in the film, if it did exist, with the killer psychology, would be kind of like that. Very
very confident,
very all about. It would be storyline based around the who will wit out the other, not an action film. So yeah, kind of detracted from the original idea there. So yeah, I hadn't thought out that at that point. That was it was all of this was perfected and developed a bit later. But at that point, came back from the BFI, talked around about it to you and other people and all friends really.
Anyone else that was
and yeah, it seemed an okay idea. Teacher liked it.
Yeah, everyone was kind of pretty in agreement because it seemed kind of ambitious considering the resources at hand, but was doable.
Yeah, we had a massive amount of time to do it, so
might as well go for something.
I really wanted. I really wanted to try hard on this. Yeah, so that developed pretty much into. I wrote up the original script one night, pretty much. Probably the following night, actually, because I had put notes coming back from the BFI. I talked about it the next day in school.
Yeah, you certainly seemed pretty enthusiastic about it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I essentially got obsessed with it. It's one of those things.
Yeah.
Just suddenly you have an idea and you want to get into it really quickly. So yeah, I just wrote an original script again. I think I kind of got that round. And started. Yeah, kind of got that round. We started trying to get people in, so we did
together, so we
get people together so we could discuss it. So that we label that as a conference we started doing. Those were either kind of online on chatting systems like such as Steam, MSN, because we can talk live, and it doesn't have to be. It can be in our free time essentially. We don't have to find a time slot in school to do that. But we did face to face mainly. The idea brainstorming had to be face to face mainly. It just works better. And yeah, so from there we started looking at the original script. Got 2 actors in, so that was you and Liam.
Liam, yeah.
Yep. Yeah, we decided on who we would probably be. Kind of always saw you as a detective, really, but me as a background guy, and or me and Liam, we weren't sure which one would be the killer or the background guy. I ended up being the killer, so I could spend more time behind the camera. Essentially, that was just more practical, really.
And I think, as much of a killer Liam is in real life, it's kind of, I think it'd be a bit obvious on camera.
Yeah. Legacy.
I think if we were making kind of like a hobo with a shotgun type A-list B movie, then he'd be a good killer.
He's naturally an eccentric character, so but it wouldn't have made any difference whether he's the killer or not. You don't even see the killer's face, but I think it just came down to me being behind the camera.
Yeah.
So yeah, we looked at the original script, started to get started to look at what major flaws there could be. Our main problem was at that point the uncertainty of the setting. Now the shop, I always saw it as a shop from the actual Ghost in the Shell clip, and a public place is so much easier of a set. It's already made. You don't need to make anything. You just get there and you just do it. Only problem is, well, you'll be interfering with people.
Yeah, you got permission.
Yeah. Now we weren't sure about permission then, so we started thinking if we could possibly change the script completely to a different setting, somewhere we could actually have our own place and actually make a set.
Oh yeah, we're in the
yeah. So actually,
I think eventually we just decided to go down to the shop and ask him, and that went surprisingly well.
Yeah, so
I don't think either of us were expecting him to just say yeah, sure.
So yeah, now in terms of actually location scouting, it always was that shop. I always envisioned it in that shop. It was practical, next to my house, next to the school, kind of in the middle of where everyone lived, and I actually knew the shop owner there. Okay, so actually location scouting wise, it was that, and when we did get permission to film, then when we got in the second conference meeting, then that wasn't a problem, really. We completely scrapped any other ideas, since this was the most stable and the best one. Also, at that point we made serious changes in the script. The original script, the killer's shown full face, actually talks. The actual original biggest thing of the original script.
Originally, wasn't it going to be the killer that was doing the narrative?
There actually was a twist, a major twist. Not that the killer was in the shop like now, but there was a major twist that the narration at the start was actually the killer's mind, not the detective, who was thinking about that he's got the detective within his grasp. But that got changed since really we thought that we wouldn't want. That's everyone kind of thought it would be better if
just an inner monologue for the detective.
You keep the killer's identity for later in the movie. You don't show it in the titles really. It's like it was a bit rushed really, and really it would probably ruin the suspense of the rest of the film of not knowing who the killer is.
Yeah, it's kind of, you get it a lot in horror as well, or I mean in any film which something's supposed to be scary or mysterious. You don't want to show it like so obviously. Like think what M. Night Shyamalan did in Signs with the alien. You don't see the alien until right at the end, and even though the last scene kind of spoiled it, up until then it was terrifying.
Yeah,
it's this kind of fear of the unknown.
Yeah,
curiosity as well keeps you interested.
So there we are. So we did get changes in those. Where is it again now? Now we have. Oh yes, the final script. Casting. Well, casting. Well, actually, in the second conference meeting, got one more person, Jacob.
Yeah.
And got Rebecca to help us with. Actually, she did the
just making of filming.
The making of on set of the first session shoot. She did the making of filming. Yeah, had an extra camera, so thought might as well do that. So casting essentially was pretty much when we talked to the project about who was interested in the project, who couldn't make it. So that was just basically friends around, and there wasn't really much casting to do. We just had just what we could. We just took everything we could.
Yeah, we tried to be minimalist with the roles. So
but I mean. We couldn't get any more actors anyway, so casting was really just essentially down to who could make it when for the thing really, and who wanted to do it.
I keep forgetting it was only 4 people. I think it felt big for 4 people.
Yeah, I mean
final piece.
for a very small project, and actually we were 5 including crew.
Well,
basically in just in one aisle of a tiny little shop for a couple of hours. So actually it feels kind of big. Especially the more you are, the harder it is to manage. Okay, sorry for that cut. Ran out of batteries and actually changed camera. Brand new camera, yay. Next topic, storyboard. Yeah. So storyboarding. Yeah, you used post-it notes actually, because they actually have 16:9 ratio, weirdly.
Yes.
Not the square ones, obviously, the big ones. And basically, what the storyboard helps is to actually get an idea in your mind and actually show your actors and stuff. So they have an idea of what you're thinking. So, yeah, I did a storyboard, and I'm not much of an artist.
You got the point across.
Yeah. It's just little circle men.
Very easily read way of representing the screenplay.
Yeah. Special in its own way. I should stop shaking the table, shouldn't I? Yeah, not much to say about that really. Titles design, more to say about that actually. Started early on. I wanted kind of something scruffy. For the main title, I wanted the letter PLA and
you were wanting something kind of scratched in.
Yeah, and FUL kind of like scratched, while the lambda in the middle, which was supposed to kind of represent a Y, was supposed to be kind of clean and bold. and yeah, I wanted some kind of. It was a scratched in idea I had for the rest. In the end, I used a dirty. I used a more bold but dirty font for the actual letters, and I used the same font for the rest. And really, actually, apart from the actual main title design, the actual titles design actually just came in editing. I just opened up Word and looked at what fonts I had. Turns out the font I used actually has quite some history. A friend of mine was making a Left 4 Dead mod and found it on this site about only downloading fonts. And then I made my own poster for Left 4 Dead mod I never made. Left 4 Dead's a game, by the way, sorry. And I use it in pretty much everything because I just like it. And
what's it called? I recognise
Capture It. It's called Capture It. And yeah, so I use it in pretty much everything, and I liked it here. It was dirty, and it was nice, bold, readable, and it made a nice contrast with the Lambda. Now the Lambda itself, I always had that idea of that Lambda. It's actually from a game. It's from Half-Life. The Half-Life series. And I just couldn't find a similar enough and bold and cut Lambda in fonts so I ended up
it's the same Lambda they used in Half-Life.
Yeah, I ended up just photoshopping it out, and yeah, so yeah, I was pretty pleased with that in the end. Costumes, oh god, here it comes.
Well, my main complaint with the costumes, I think overall they're okay, but I think we had a bit of conflict about what the killer should be wearing, whether it be too obvious that he was a killer if he was wearing his big red boots and a trench coat, so I think... And I wasn't a big fan of my costume because I didn't quite fit into the shirt, mainly. And the whole leather jacket thing.
Since we didn't have a detective coat, and even that would be maybe too obvious, just like the killer.
Yeah, it's a bit too cliche.
I think I like leather coats, so that's about it. I wanted my hero to have a sweet leather coat.
Yeah, I've lost.
It's not sweet. It's actually just scruffy, which I think kind of goes with the character. Yeah, it's probably not. It's not. When I think detective, I also like.
Not quite
I like my detectives like Columbo, all very scruffy and. You know, he's probably not that well dressed. Yeah. And the killer, kind of hit and miss, didn't really know. And now the trench coat idea, that was just, of course, way too cliche. We just wanted kind of a creepy coat, really. Now, we'll talk about shooting sessions later, but in the end, we ended up filming with two different coats, the killer. Originally kind of a sort of skin coat. It was a long skin coat, and in the end it turned into an aviator, just because I hated the skin coat. Oh well.
Skin coat sounds.
It was skin. Yeah, it's not leather, but it's like leather that's not been made into leather.
Hide.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. I'm used to. Anyway.
Yeah.
Skin coat.
Anyway. Yeah, and
maybe Ron Collett was in set design.
Oh, Ron Collett. Oh. And I forgot what I was going to say.
Sorry. Talk of Ron.
Yeah, and also my bigger problem was with trousers. Now, the thing is, I wanted to kind of not have any hoodies and stuff like that. Of course,
yeah, not too.
It's not old, but it can be sort of modern. But I didn't want any like fashionable items really. So really.
I don't actually own a pair of smart trousers, so
yeah, and I visualized from the start. I thought no jeans rule would be good, and in the end the jeans worked out okay because they weren't very too they weren't too jean.
Yeah,
and jeans are actually kind of they can be old style anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah. And it worked out fine. Especially we had to again. You shot with two different pairs of jeans, and it worked out fine. That was the black and white sorted that out.
Did I shoot with two different pairs of jeans? I thought I just had them repaired.
No, you had two.
I had the blue ones in the second one.
You told me you didn't have the same pair. One was darker than the other anyway.
Oh, was it? Oh,
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
The first,
the black
pair
and white
I wore
sorted
in
that.
the first one developed some quite large holes in them.
Yeah.
In between the shoots in
Yeah,
some
yeah.
places, so I just kind of figured
Anyway,
different jeans.
there was a necklace you were wearing in the original shoot.
Yes, the pendant. Did
And
not
that
have
disappeared in some reshoots. So if you watch,
yes.
if you're keen-eyed, you'll have noticed that you have a magical necklace. Yeah.
Maybe the killer stole it.
And maybe the killer stole it. Would have strangled you with it. Look. Anyway. And that's right. Then background characters, I just thought I'd have a smart person.
Yeah, look very
And
conspicuous.
just a normal person, really.
Very puffy
And
jacket.
yeah. No, actually, the killer's boots. I had that idea of when the detective realizes the killer's in the shop, that the color changes when the killer's boot hits the ground, and it would make this loud noise. Is your realization that he's behind you. And so from the beginning I saw the killer having those red boots. Now actually they're not like very flashy red, they're kind of reddish, and they're not too obvious, and yeah, I had that from the beginning to have that red pop up.
Are they Docs?
Yeah, Doc Martens. Yeah. So yeah, I think that's about it for costume. Yeah, that's it. Moving on. Okay, sorry about the cut. So now we're into props and equipment. Now, the equipment gave us a lot of advantage, but one major problem with the camera was the battery life. Didn't have any spare batteries because it's like special battery type thing. And it's a Sony HD Bloggy, I think second gen, first gen, something like that. And actually was better than the cameras actually provided by the school. Got higher frame rate, better quality.
Certainly good value for the price.
Yeah, I got it for £100, and it was nice lighting, very smooth. Got 16 nines. It was okay. No good lens on it because it's kind of a handicap thing. It's a handicap thing. But yeah, it came in very useful.
Fit into confined spaces.
Yeah, fit into
trouble on the shelf.
Yeah. It's directly a USB comes out of it, so you can just plug it in your PC. And the thing is, it's Sony, so Sony own the MP4 codec. I think they own it, and so that worked perfectly with Sony Vegas, my editing program. Absolutely a dream. But of course, it also went perfectly well on the GorillaPod. The GorillaPod is what the camera is on right now. It's actually just this tiny little...
It's like a tripod.
Yeah, it's a tiny tripod,
like
but...
lots and lots of ball and socket joints. It's quite stiff, and it's got magnetic pads on
this one has got magnetic, so what that meant is we could essentially stick the camera pretty much anywhere, whether it's metal or not. We can just wrap it around something. And mainly used for, at the start, on the car.
Oh yeah.
On the doors, on the bonnet, and it actually held extraordinarily well. And since the Bloggy was very small and light, worked perfectly fine. It was very nice. I think that's equipment. I also had a big tripod given by the school. Actually came in more use than the GorillaPod, but yeah, again, that's just standard, really. Nice pans. It's good because if you don't want your camera to shake, that's great. And we also had the school camera, really just an extra, so that's why we did kind of the making of filming with it. Just give it to someone, come on. We have this available, let's use it, let's at least do something with it. But didn't use it for the actual filming because it was significantly lower quality than
film me hurting
my own camera
and such.
Yes, in multiple angles. Yes, probably playing it back right now. Props. Now, props. Didn't really have any props. It was
Bob and creams.
Yeah, but it was all there. I mean, you can think about our costumes sort of as props, but that was about it. Now everything was on place, so we just took whatever. What are the Bob and creams is actually from the first film session. Afterwards, it was some cookies.
Maryland
cookies. Oh yes, apparently was supposed to have some significance.
Never quite managed
No,
that,
never quite
couldn't-
managed that. Maybe it does in the full film. I don't know. Maybe he's
diabetic.
got. What?
I don't know.
What does that mean?
Well, you wouldn't be able to have really sugary stuff.
I don't see how that's linked with cookies. Anyway.
His wife's dead.
Yeah. She's called Mary or something.
Yeah.
In the land of
cookies.
We don't know. That's like a plot twist. Yeah, and basically we just took whatever was there that we needed for that. But one significant prop was the car, obviously. That really helped with the style. I suppose I'm just lucky. I kind of. Well, it's not lucky, but it's my car, and I suppose it was just a good thing to have it.
Yeah,
it helps to set. It helps to set an old car, black and white.
It's kind of like a cross
detective
between a tractor and a Beetle.
I don't like Beetles. It's more than it's just.
Like, I just.
Yeah. It's just an old car.
It's nice.
It's nice. Yeah, that was about it prop wise, really, wasn't it?
Yeah. Does the violin count? Because we're using it for sound effects.
I was gonna say about the card. That's a significant prop.
Oh yeah, of course.
The
you get that.
the killer's signature. Was gonna make it more fancy to start with, but I ended up kind of having to rush it, so I just printed the lambda, pasted it on, and that was it. And I suppose the simple design just works just as fine. I was going to make some curly things on it, but might have ended ruining it, so didn't want to ruin all my playing cards. Yeah, and that's about it. Now, we'll talk about the violin. Okay. Now we've referred a lot to filming shoot. Sorry, to a lot of filming sessions. And actually, there's actually been 4.
Oh yeah, of course, because of the reshoot.
Yeah, I'll talk about that. Okay, the first one was everyone was in it. That was the big one, and lasted about 2 hours, I think, all the way till the closing time of the shop, as best as we could do, so that it was night. It was winter, still January. I think it was late January.
Yeah.
So we got nights relatively early to be able to be in the shop, and got a massive amount done there of basically all the interior scenes. That was pretty much all of it.
Yeah.
Second, quick note. That's when we had a health and safety problem.
Yes.
Yeah.
Viciously attacked by a jaw.
Trying to do a slight action scene.
It was.
Is a health and safety problem. Yeah,
not of my own doing.
Very.
Of course, that was.
It was the transparent door's fault.
Yeah, I'll see that bastard in court.
Yeah, and that was it for the first session. Now we still had all the outside filming to do, so we came back second for a second session. It was just you and me, and the driver, the transporter, and the
transport. Anyway.
Yeah. So we just did the shots right outside the shop there.
Yeah,
then
we did the
driving in front of the shop.
Under the streetlights.
One or two tiny shots we had forgotten inside the shop. The shoes,
I remember,
for example, the shoes on the ground we had forgotten.
Originally, you wanted to do a low-angle shot where you got a kind of a drain in the road in the shot as well. But did we ever get around to that, or?
No. My idea was in the establishing shot. I knew there was a drain there, and I wanted to make it smoke or something to make it really typical. But anyway, the lighting was a bit too low, so I was thought like that was just the perfection, the idea of the perfection. Anyway, and I decided that I couldn't see anything on the camera screen. If I wasn't looking at the shop, like direct lights, I couldn't see anything on the camera screen, and I was like, well, we can't film all these shots on the car coming up to the shop. Turns out, actually, it was just that the contrast is extremely bad on the actual screen, and when you actually get around to watch it on the computer, it looks just fine. Went out, third session, where we just did all the shots on the car in the establishing shot, ended up quite a bit dark. In the original idea, we were supposed to see a lot of your face.
Yeah,
We were supposed to see inside shots and stuff, and all I ended up using is just outside shots and one lucky shot when I always wanted the kind of like the street lights to kind of shine on the windscreen, and one of them actually lit up your face okay, and actually that was enough length.
I think if we'd filmed loads with my face in it, then it would have kind of dragged on a bit.
Yeah.
Surprisingly.
And got a good time out of it anyway. And now after that, we took a day, an entire day doing the sound.
Yeah, in my dad's shed.
In your dad's shed, because okay, the first, the outside bit with the car, that's all original sound. The car, of course, not the voiceover.
Yeah, it was.
But as soon as you enter the shop, so actually none of that is actually from the shop, which is probably pretty obvious. But we had to make all the sounds up, with literally pretty much nothing.
It's just a violin, a pack of biscuits, and our voices, I guess.
Actually, I didn't even end up using the
violin.
violin.
The violin at all, did you?
Yeah.
No, we were just throwing random objects at the
Yeah.
desk at one point.
Yeah.
That was
Tapping on the microphone.
helpful.
I mean, yeah, we.
Yeah, the footsteps.
Footsteps is tapping on the microphone. Other loud bangs are again tapping. I used a lot of coin. We threw a coin down at the surface of the desk. That's the higher pitch hearing noises, and essentially what we played with was the pitch and the like echoey resonance, because what I wanted is really good echoey resonance. So having it directly like that and not in post processing meant we got much better sounds basically. And yeah, I think it worked pretty well. It did. I think it got the weird atmosphere across, even though at the start of when you get in the shop, I thought it was a bit empty. So I added some refrigerated noises and stuff like that, because I thought it was a bit strange.
Yeah, you want it to feel kind of a bit busy, kind of noise-wise. I mean, again,
not busy.
I don't know. I think adding the extra sound effects there kind of helped to make it feel more.
Yeah, I wanted to make it very busy once
like
things actually
there,
happen.
So.
And yeah. Problem is the original where I get my inspiration from for the like sound and the environment of like the feeling of it from Ghost in the Shell all happens in slow motion. The entire scene happens half speed or something like that. So actually it was probably more fitting to have all these very echoey long noises. Here obviously it doesn't fit as well, but I think it ended up working fine. And all the acting is very slow and not in a hurry, except at the end, but even then I kind of put slow motion in and stuff. So yeah, really pleased with the sound. I mean, we did mess about for a very long time.
Well, you got all the recording equipment there. It's difficult not to. Yeah,
just do silly things. But yeah, it did end up making a massive amount of loads of tiny noises. So once you go into editing to like fathom them out, it's like, okay, I need a closing door. Now I have a billion different sounds which I have not labeled. I have no idea. Yeah. So I think we used the coin mainly for all the bing kind of bits. I usually stretch them and play them backwards in editing. A pen clicking, that was for the gun. When you cock the gun in your pocket, we had rubbing some various textiles in front of the microphone. That was for me rubbing past you and you putting your hand in your pocket. Of course, the footsteps, that's multiple
tapping on the microphone.
Tapping on the microphone, tapping on the desk.
What
of course, putting it as bass, we changed the pitch to bass.
There's the build noise just before the detective turns around and notices that the two kind of inconspicuous the civilians weren't actually walking towards him.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the coins and stuff.
That was the coins.
Yeah. I mean, we ended up kind of going with nothing. And then there was the more unmodified noises, such as the biscuits, for example.
Yeah, that was
I did no, we didn't put any echo on that. And of course, then there was your voiceover.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah, I ended up being quite fussy about how that sounded.
Yeah, so did I. And yeah, that was very. That took quite a few tries, and again, couldn't resist being silly a couple of times. But it was really all about the timing and like, because you could just say it, but yeah. I think we ended up getting a great thing out of that.
Yeah.
But it took quite a few tries. What's next on the list? I think, Screw Up, it says on the screen right here.
Screw Up?
Yeah, actually, well, let's say, a couple of days before the deadline that was given by our teacher. No, I don't think it was the actual deadline, but it was the teacher deadline. Couple of days before it, okay, so we had recorded the sound during the weekend, and it was the Monday evening, and I was like, okay, time to edit it all together. Let's get started. And I lost all the files. Everything. Absolutely everything. Pretty much absolutely everything.
How did that happen?
Shut up. Well, that's complicated stuff, including Linux and formatting hard drives and needing space on the camera, and all these saves I had made got deleted by human mistake and unforeseen technical consequence. Shit. Yeah. So it was
bad.
Very bad. Very angry. Had an extreme tantrum because I was pretty pleased with it, and basically had to get all the actors back together, had to ask again the shop manager, and really organize that all very, very quickly, and redo it.
Yes, the reshoot.
The reshoot, that's the 4th session.
Spawned some interesting continuity errors there.
Yeah, spawned some, but not too bad, not too bad.
Yeah, it didn't get too badly, actually.
Probably just your hair, but you've got to be really keen to notice that one. The necklace. Changed jeans, but that's you can barely see it. Your laces are missing. Again, cannot see it.
Yeah.
Slight problems though.
I remember we had quite a bit of trouble with the camera on the reshoot. We had to get pretty hectic towards the end.
Yeah, again, the battery was even lower than the first shoot, and yeah, in the end we had to wait for the battery to kind of retake a bit of power to take one last shot. Like right at the end, we didn't have even time for multiple shots. It was like that shot is gonna have to do it, so we're gonna have to do it fine. And yeah, though, and there was when you realize that the killer is behind you and you're looking up, told you to overact so much, and it ended up really fine, but on the moment everyone thought I thought you looked like a goldfish, and
I was like I couldn't figure out, because I was like, you kept telling me
I
to
cut
move
a bit of it,
more, and I had no idea what.
Yeah.
How does someone's face move when they're just
the absolute overacting went with the over dramatic scene, and it ended up fine. And cutting the over goldfish moment at the end went really fine.
Yeah.
Another problem. It was day now.
Yes.
It was. It wasn't winter anymore, or if it was, very late. So it was day now, and the shop closed at day. So we had to use black sugar paper to cover the window / door.
Curious looking shop customers.
Yeah.
Yeah, raised a few eyebrows, but
yeah.
I think it works alright. Did we actually do any shots in the end that used the windows in the reshoot?
Well, you can see them, yes.
Yeah.
And but not that you didn't actually do any opening of the doors or anything.
Yeah, so that was all. That was all from the old one.
Yeah. And you can see actual real windows in the background in some shots where it's bright day, but again the video effects kind of fix that. But yeah, again, I didn't lose absolutely everything. I had a bad quality pre-render I had made of the old project, and so I still had some lower quality shots, which you can probably spot if you watch the finished video, and actually had to use those for whenever you open the door, stuff like that. And some shots I couldn't redo properly. So yeah, in the end it kind of all became a hybrid, and some continuity errors, which I don't think are too bad, really.
No, not that noticeable. It'll be fine.
Now,
really, I think.
if I may make a note about actors, it's a problem. Seriously, actors. I think that if your actor is your biggest
enemy,
trouble. Because especially, you want to be on good terms with the actors, but you got to tell them what you want, and you have to essentially boss them around. And of course, you don't want to boss them around too much, and you want to seem like a complete. So they're kind of hard to manage, and it's kind of very time wasting to get all the actors calmed down, because obviously you're kind of a bit excited to film something.
Yeah, especially when we were recording, we had a lot of trouble with giggles.
Yeah, recording the sound.
Yeah.
We had some bit of crazy moments, but yeah, all ended up fine. Really, positive experience, if you ask me. And afterwards, afterwards we were all like kind of relieved. Well, after that, no time to waste. Editing. And here plays the video.
Countless hours.
Countable hours, about
video.
8 hours and a half, 9 hours actually. So yeah, here's.
Just imagine you went through a lot of snacks.
Here's the video playing. Actually, no, a lot of chewing gums. You can see
the
chewing gums on the film there. So yeah, as you can see, the pretty dirty hair. No time to waste. Deadline's coming up. I did this in 2 sessions actually, about split in half the time. So yeah, how it will work is I get absolutely everything we film together and put it into groups, shot by shot. I like having everything laid out very visually. So that, and then choose the shot, which one I wanted, so which ones I discard, which ones I'm actually going to use for the final thing. And then start putting them in order. Start leave holes where the titles are going to go. And obviously I had to use some of the old pre-rendered footage. Had some problem with that because actually it didn't actually go completely within the frame, so I had to redo loads of renders because I always forgot one. And yeah, it's basically, I think the sorting of all the clips and the initial kind of just put together is probably, at least in your mind, the longest bit, because it's actually extremely boring. It's terrible. Now, video effects. Not much. Just bleeding the black and the white together. Pretty much. That's it. And this slight exposure. Here I'm doing the sounds. I was just basically going through every single sound and naming it potentially what it could be. So I'm starting to put them in now. Also, previously I put notes. I like putting just, as you can see often on screen, it's written titles. I like putting just random text with the, not random text, but I put text around the timeline with a note of what should be there. I also do that with colors sometimes to like label what's maybe finished, what needs to do more work and stuff like above on an extra timeline for the video. So yeah, put the sound together for that took quite a while. Definitely always felt like I didn't have enough sound whenever I edited this. I thought I was always lacking, and it was more of an experimental thing for me. I don't often work with sound, I mainly work with the video, so I wasn't feeling very confident in this. And that is a black screen. Yeah, my screen recording program didn't always work very well.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, but I did edit during that black screen time.
In the dark.
In the dark, yes. And yeah, editing is my strong point, and I was really just editing was the thing I really wanted to make the project shine with, essentially. Now I like putting very slow track-ins in more important bits, giving the camera a little movement. I thought would always put a nice little touch. Here I'm actually just editing out the lambda from a picture. I just took a picture of the card actually, and just put it in. Use that. Now I was going through the fonts, yeah. And then I decided Capture It was going to do it, and setting up the original. So now I'm on the titles now. So this was not exactly planned out before. It's only like when I had put it together that when I decided it was where it would be done. And here it is. I rendered it and it was done. And that's the final timeline. So yeah, it's I've done projects with more complicated video, but this was definitely my most complicated. It's with sound. Sound was definitely the.
Usually, you seem to work more with kind of music tracks and stuff.
Yeah,
so
what I do is I usually do music videos where I just took.
You sync video with sound in those, and this you syncing sound with video much more.
Yeah, it's more the sound bends around the video, as usually I do the video bends around the sound. Yeah, it was big work. I've had bigger projects, but this is definitely one that probably felt the biggest because I had to do it in such little time slot in one go. Usually I just give myself weeks or a month and I just do bit by bit, but here I really had to go for it, so that was quite heavy. But yeah, I'm pleased with the editing. And the final piece, let's have a look for the final piece.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Yeah. Yeah, so Killing Works Pictures presents. Those two first streams of text, that was just me and my dad. We were like,
Killing Works, DreamWorks, but horrible.
No. Well, I suppose it has something to do with serial killer, but it was just me and my dad, and I was like editing, and I was like, this was actually the last thing I added on the timeline, the absolute last thing, because it wasn't. It was just a convention that I had to put for the title, and I was like, what kind of name can I come up with for a studio or something? And I was like thinking DreamWorks, and for some reason Killing Joke, a weird band, just came up in my head, and killing had something to do with killers, so we thought Killing Works Pictures presents, and Oxford Gate, that was, I thought of Lions Gate,
yeah,
and we're in Oxford, so Oxford Gate Production, there you are, I came up with that. So we had the establishing shot, yeah. Let's just put the sound up a little bit.
The lighting was really nice on that.
Motives, location.
Yeah, actually the lighting on the blog is really not that bad.
Victims were all given a playing card with a lambda on it.
Now I love this shot, and I kind of the shot with the actual 2CV just coming up, and it actually really had really some. It had a really nice flare for it on the lens, even though it's a terrible lens on that camera, and I kind of hated myself to put all the flashing things and the title over it, especially the flashing things, because it kind of
where it fits best.
It kind of removed it. It's where it fits best, and I suppose I also get the title on my favorite shot.
Really,
but I was kind of I kind of hated myself a little bit for hiding it too much. Now the title, I really wanted to put a lot of motion into it. Now again, see, this is the Gorilla Pod just gave me some really interesting shots to do with. And yeah, this is all the original pre-render for now, because couldn't use.
Hairdo there.
Yeah, this is the previous. That's the shop owner.
Yes, thank you, Mr. What is his name?
I have no idea. Actually, have no idea.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shop owner. That's it, shop owner. Yeah, I suppose he kind of breaks the rule that we're all kind of like of the same age, and it would give the impression that it's normal for us all to be the same age, but he was a really nice guy, and he doesn't appear much, so I thought, let's just put him on, really. We don't have an extra actor to do a shop owner anyway. So there we are. I mean, it doesn't seem too much out of place. I think we're kind of old. We're kind of old enough, so it kind of works.
He did a good job of the role.
Yeah, he's very good being a shop owner.
Very much
very realistic shop owner there. And actually, at that point, he I was just telling him, well, just like act like you do, like normal. So he just went on with his business. But I wanted him to look up the camera because you come through the door, and I had to like look at me all very silently, and I think he pulled a little smile because he was wondering. He was must have
Frenchman was jumping around in his shop.
Yeah. Again, that shot from the very beginning had it in my head. I loved that closing door. Closing door. Oh no, we got worse product placement. Yeah, so that's my name coming from there. Mm. And yeah, even though there was the freezer hum, I added the freezer hum sound on these scenes right at the start of the on these shots right at the start of the shop scene because
the camera didn't really pick it up, and it's kind of
no.
Did the
No, because you
camera pick
sounded
it
like an elephant.
Oh yes, of course.
Yeah.
The steps are rather.
The steps, all by themselves, all alone, with absolutely no other sound, really sounded very alien. Not as alien, too alien for me. And you did really
anyway,
sound like an elephant. Oh. Yeah, and yeah. So definitely the most awkward stuff is the steps. Maryland's there, so. I suppose they have a meeting. We're supposed to have a meeting with that. Like
we never quite figured that out, did we?
No. Neither for the Bourbons, which were the first sessions ones, or the Maryland's.
Wife died, and she was called Mary.
Yeah, I don't know. Eventually, we'll give it meaning.
Yeah. Wait for the critics to do that.
Yeah. They'll know. They always know.
They'll think of something.
Yeah. We're never going to have critics. Actually, the examiner might critic it.
Oh.
It might slightly.
Try to analyze it.
Hello,
for
examiner.
us.
Say hello to the examiner. And yeah, your name comes up.
Yes. Glorious HD.
Yeah. That's slight. That kind of. That crab out. That crab out. I again. That was. From the very beginning I wanted that, but originally...
That was just you holding the camera, wasn't it?
Yeah, so it was a bit shaky, but it was okay.
This is pretty good.
But originally I wanted the title to kind of like be like if it was on the shelf. Didn't work too well, because this was done the 4th session, and since then a freezer was added there.
Yes.
So I couldn't have I couldn't start from proper black, and couldn't really make it look good in editing, so didn't have one there. Had enough other places anyway. Oh, the convex mirror.
Yeah, we discussed it for a while on set. It was kind of just an idea we had when we got there because we hadn't really noticed.
Yeah, that was on the first session. We thought we just give it a shot just because, and it might look nice, and didn't do it in the end because ran out of batteries. So it was just an extra shot anyway. So we would have done it. We thought whatever. And when we had more batteries on the 4th session, or whether we felt like we did, just took a shot of it, and ended up really nice.
Yeah, it's a nice little extra angle there. It's
yeah,
really nice layout.
Yeah, we don't have a good lens on the camera, and that made it at least give it a nice, interesting effect without using post-processing. Also, gave me a nice opportunity to put some text there in a funky way,
yeah,
without having too much going on screen, so you actually have your attention on it. Yeah, all over this section of the filming, the video, I was worried that the overall sound effects were way too quiet. The start's very loud with the engine and you talking. The end kind of is as well, but everything there was at that point was quiet. And I was scared that if I made it too loud, it would just sound very strange. Like small things sounding very loud, and then afterwards loud things sounding very loud. It wouldn't make much sense. So, and also had slight problems with. I like bass, so a lot of the sound is bass. So if you have very bad speakers, then it kind of probably ruins the sound experience on it as well. Ron Collett.
This is kind of an inside joke for us.
Yeah.
Ron Collett's he's not really real as such, I guess, in a way he's a real person, but we've kind of distorted it. And I'm like,
He's
basically,
a fictional character.
it's just the name we give to this blank canvas serial killer character. If we have any ideas that something a serial killer might do,
who
then
terrorizes
we'll just say,
this little village.
We'll just say it was we'll say Ron Colic, because
So,
it's easier
yeah.
than saying some serial killer.
Had the slot there, wanted a black screen for a title there. Didn't have a candidate really. Just for another actor really, because it fit the pattern that the main actors get that big title with that blank screen.
Maybe he did the gore special effects. I'm sure.
Yeah,
very apt at such
she's police
Pro.
chief or something.
Ah.
I don't know.
Role
He's got a role somewhere. So yeah, he's fictional, but he's really just a joke there for the joke, because he's a killer. So serial killer film, just put him in. Should be there. Anything to do with serial killers. That shot, you might notice that in the background is a very bright spot. That's actually a window. Not too noticeable with the effects. Yeah, it doesn't.
Freezer or something.
It's not shown for very long.
Makes the shot look a bit bigger.
It's not shown for very long, and the effects kind of bled things together. So you can see in the original footage without effects, you can see there's a tree in a garbage bin there. But if you just the effects pretty much sorted it out for us.
Some of the angles kind of reminded me of the scene in the store in 5 centimeters per second when they're buying milk. But anyway, have you seen that yet?
No.
Okay. Sure.
Never mind.
But anyway.
Yeah. That floating text actually. Just wanted to put it there for the sake of putting it. It's like, it's kind of your own little trophy if you put it there. It's
surprising how kind of in the shot it actually looks.
Yeah,
You've got the depth right there. I think the slant, subtle as it is, it's
trying to make. I was trying to make it look like if it was perpendicular to the wall, so it's kind of more. It feels more like it's in the shot. And it's kind of that thing that you see a lot in movie openings, and it's kind of like cool to have it there, and it looks nice. It looks like it's in the shot, a bit like when I put in the convex one, except I had movement on this one. Problem with that is the camera shakes slightly because it's a POV shot, and frame by frame, pixel by pixel, had to get it to make it look like it didn't move. I succeeded with some slight errors. It jolts around a little bit, but I suppose you could say that's to do with this perspective. It's in front of what's behind it. I use what's behind it obviously to place it. So yeah, that shot as you turn around, even though in this shot and the next shot the exact same effect was used, I think the angle and like the way the camera reacted to lighting meant it kind of bled even more, and the contrast was higher and it was kind of blurry. As if we get to the next shot, it's much sharper image. That's sort of noticeable. It does the same thing when it does a reverse shot between the owner and when you get in the shop. But that's to do with the getting in the shop is the old footage, which is low quality. Now, you were slight
overacting.
Yeah.
The whole thing's a bit kind of overdramatic, so it kind of...
Yeah, well, it's not very overacted in this shot. It's later on.
It felt like I was overreacting massively. But
yeah.
My facial expressions never really work out how.
So yeah, our extractor's looking creepy. I like those sounds. Now you can see there's a CCTV in the background. I originally liked the convex mirror that was going to be an extra shot we just take because we thought it looked cool, and it would definitely. Problem is,
Liam was saying that
Liam,
if you can see the CCTV footage, then surely it would be very easy indeed to catch the killer. So we kind of just let's not explicitly show there's a CCTV in that shop. So I suppose if you notice it's there, then you know there's a massive plot problem and the detective is completely retarded. But maybe that's what the story's about, who knows? Yeah, special needs detective.
Yeah.
No, same camera, different location this time. Jill's house ran out of battery power.
Yeah, just lost the file. Didn't film. We did it twice. What we're doing now, we already did it twice, but lost it twice. Somehow we didn't film. Anyway, so your location then. Just quickly gonna do this. Yeah. So
Have I already said I was overacting slightly?
no, yeah, I think you have, but I didn't really think that wasn't one of those parts where you overacted too much. However, I did.
You said you preferred the first shot.
Yeah, the one.
It was a bit kind of quicker the last one, but I like this one nonetheless.
Yeah, the one in the first session we had done quicker, and so it kind of went with the crisper sound. But I still like the bass idea of the shot.
The sound like it really adds to it.
Effects there showing you speak. Realize something very dramatic. Yeah, again, now always full from the start.
Yeah, some colour on it.
Yeah, the pulse of colour. That's Sin City style, I suppose. And I always wanted to do that with the detective walking in the same place later.
Yeah.
That's it. That is it. The ultimate overact moment. Where there you go.
You cut out the worst of it, but I do look somewhat dumbfounded, gobsmacked.
Yeah, but it's
challenged.
But it ended up fine. The overacting went up with the overdramatic.
The feel of the whole. It's a bit melodramatic.
Yeah, so it ended up fine really once you got in editing. Again, slow mo there. Thanks to the bloggy with the 60 FPS, you could do some stuff. You walking on the same place as the killer shows you're after him, I suppose, trying to represent stuff. And actually hurt yourself a lot there.
Yeah, as said, yeah, opening the door there took a surprisingly large number of takes.
Probably the one with the most takes, the hardest one to get. Because kind of all the door got stuck or didn't do it fast enough, seems a bit slow. And in one point you were so rushed to go round the door that
I
smacked yourself in the face.
Yeah.
I think it bled a bit.
Yeah, just a bit.
There you go, that's the health and safety.
I don't think you can see that, so it's fine.
And there we are. And shot, and a couple more names.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was it.
When the applause would be at Cannes or Sundance.
It's a bit short of a film though.
Yeah.
I don't think they get it that it's only an opening.
Quality of quantity.
Right. And then we did a couple of silly things coming back from the first session because I felt silly. And
yes, of course.
So we have La Premiere. Obviously Liam was very excited about the film.
No one else looks quite as interested.
No. The ratings. So we think it kind of sucks.
A lackluster reaction, and Liam has something entirely different in mind.
Yes, and that is not overacting, that is just...
That's him.
Yes.
That's good old Liam.
That's the...
And then I'm amazed he managed to act so inconspicuous as a background character.
Anyway. And then we have those celebrations.
As you know, there is a reason I'm holding my head in this clip.
Yeah. That was right after we finished filming. Originally.
That was absolutely. Yeah, and we just clipped the closing time.
Yeah, just a few minutes more. Yeah. So there it was closed just as we got out, just finished filming, and yeah, it was sort of celebratory, I suppose. We were quite excited. 3, 2, 1. There's one less happy voice in the background, but
yeah. Who was holding the camera?
That was like.
Caroline, because they turned up in the car completely spontaneous.
Anyway, not that you care about that. Yeah. Thank you very much. And if you haven't watched the full thing yet, then go watch it.
Stay classy.
Yep, thanks, bye.
Okay.